Hello, everybody. Welcome to our review on whatever playlist I put this on for the movie Bodied. So, my name is Holden Stephan Roy.
I am your lady friend Bonnie.
So, before we jump into it, there's going to be a real short intro bit. I don't really know how to review movies, so we're just taking a stab at this. And we're doing this because of a Patreon request from the new homeboy, Coney Sparks. Even though we're late, and I'm so sorry, dude. However, I holler at him at, Facebook and give him a little something to get his appetite wet as we went through this. But basically, I went through the whole movie. We watched it together, and I was like, damn, I get it. There is a lot to talk about. Hold up. Allow me to be proper for this, right? Whole lot to talk about.
I'm not putting my head up.
Anyway, so basically, I took notes on every single scene, and then I assume that because we review hip hop, you all might care a little bit about some of the bars. But I want to be clear, there was a lot that I wanted to talk about watching the movie, where we'll still touch on the bars, but it's definitely the secondary interest. So maybe when all's said and done, we can even make a separate video just dedicated to the bars if that's something y'all want to see, but y'all have to say you want to see that in the comments.
Yep.
However, we will touch on it a little bit throughout the movie, because how could you not, in light of the fact that this is a battle rap movie? I also don't know how long this is, so X number of parts. On that note, I don't even see any reason to dilly-dally.
Yep.
Bonnie, did you know what Bodied was before we came into this? What were your expectations?
Something, it's Eminem's movie. And I was like, okay. And then I just put it on. And that's pretty much, that was it. I didn't know anything about it at all, besides something that Eminem was involved in.
So basically, I knew what Bodied was because it came out. And you obviously know when Eminem does anything these days, because it's impossible to not hear about it. And it's a YouTube premium movie, so it's on the tube and it costs money. And
I watched it for free.
I'm not going to say anything about that, but I did not pay to watch the movie because there are ways around it that aren't even illegal. I'm just saying that you can get out of stealing it and still watch the movie if you're creative. But I did go through it. I know I've watched it twice, and I really focused on notes on the second time. So without further ado, the purpose of this movie is kind of to look at battle rap. So it's also kind of out of my forte, and I think it's fair to let y'all know coming into this, just that battle rap is not something I've spent a significant amount of time watching. Prior to this movie, I had seen Disaster punch people in the face, and I believe it's Disaster, so if I'm wrong, I do apologize, and I saw him murk Cannabis. And I've seen a few other battle raps out of curiosity along the way. I'm in Montreal, so I'm involved in Montreal's hip-hop community, so it's literally impossible to exist without knowing what King of the Dot is here. You might not know what it is, but King of the Dot is, I believe it's in Toronto, or it's in, I don't think it's in Montreal, I think it's in Ontario, although we have DMS battle, whatever, because even Montreal's got some battling. Everybody's got battling stuff going on. So I'm very aware of it. In fact, I've seen many people that I've rapped on stages with and whatnot, been at shows with, moving to try out their hand in battle rapping. I know that there is money to be made if you know how to battle rap. I, on the other hand, don't necessarily know how to battle rap. I tried it once at an event, and I won. And then somebody choked, and that was amazing, because when they choke, it's you just win by default, and I thought that was really cool. But it was a no stakes for fun kind of thing, but that was it. So I don't really know that much the nuances of it, which is why I was personally kind of excited to watch this movie, but movies are not my thing, so I barely get around to watching them, as she can attest to. Anyway.
Yeah, we never watched them.
So I'm going to talk a lot in this, and I apologize, Bonnie. I know you're this is great. But the movie kind of starts off, right, with this opening battle scene, and right away it's Extract versus Ben Grimm. And fantastically speaking, Gravel Pit by the Wu-Tang is playing right at the beginning of this movie, which got me excited, because how could you not just start moving as you hear the Wu track playing there? And Charlemagne the God is right there, and I'm
yep.
Oh, I guess Eminem and Charlemagne got real buddy after the little diss each other spats.
He's the host of the rap battle.
Yeah, of the big rap league that is there, because we learned there's more than one tier of battle rap league here. And so he announces some stuff and sets up it's going to be a violent Merkel thing. and then there are two dudes, extract, who, if I may have an anecdote, I'm pretty sure he's the big T guy. And why I know who that is because there's a video of the skinny white dude basically murking him and saying you basically have to be talented because you're a fat guy and it's inconvenient to being around you. And every time that thing surfaces on Facebook, I watch it because it is like the most surgical breakdown. And if I were to battle rap, I'd be that kind of guy because it's a surgical breakdown at a psychological level, and that kind of stuff got me real excited. So when I looked at him and I'm like, is that like the fat guy? And then I checked it out and I'm pretty sure Rory versus Big T might be the battle. I might be wrong, I'm just trying to remember it. It was pretty nice what I was watching there. Anyway, so you got the battle, and I think it would be, how did you feel about how this movie starts off and whatnot, you know?
Well, you know, like right away, it kind of starts and it's a bit gritty and like gray. It's very gray, like kind of start. Like it's not very bright or anything. It's just kind of like you're consumed by that, and like it's just like these rap battles, and it's pretty cool. And I like that Charlemagne like was there. And then like, you know, like we have like the girlfriend or whatever, like
Adam first. Oh, the girlfriend, right?
Yeah, she starts like asking like her boyfriend, and you're just assuming, you know, it's like 10 seconds in or whatever, you know, like asking questions, and like she's just fucking annoying, and like you can tell that like she's only there for like an intellectual project, and like it's just like she's just not absorbed in the scene where like
you can tell that she's there because he said, baby, come on, I'm finally gonna get to talk to him, come check it out and see what it's about. And he, as in Adam, our protagonist, is geeked out like when I'm hearing some good bars. It's so good, man. Yeah. He's just like, oh! He's like the most animated person in that crowd, if I'm not mistaken, is I think the point. So we're supposed to establish he the geek, the hip-hop geek, and she's
a snooty, annoying girl.
But like a well-versed one. Like you can tell she's well-intentioned.
She's one of those PC people.
Absolutely. But even then, so in regards to that, it's because it goes Fantastic Four when I let the palm cock, when I let the thing go, get it? Because, anyway, go knuck knuck, you can tell he in a hard rock, which is actually really fucking witty. And I really like good weight. And I wish, actually, it's really good. Like, that is an extremely well written, because he's Ben Grimm on top of that. Anyway.
Yeah, so he also, I don't know, somebody makes a reference about something, and she's like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, I don't know, just, you know, assume it's a gun metaphor. Everything is a gun metaphor. So you just have to, like, assume that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's in regards to that line where he's trying to understand, like, what the thing is, right?
Yeah.
And so she kind of basically says it's a gun. Everything's a gun. Now, as far as, like, because it's kind of like what's happening here is, you know, it ends up and everyone's like, hey, it's garbage day, you know, the little, like, line. And it's basically trying to show you how into it people are, right? And I think it's a really awesome start because it makes battle rap look sick. Like, it makes that environment just a gritty basement type shit. Like, the type of place where, you know, maybe if you light one up, people aren't going to look at you funny. It's the type of place where somebody might get bossed in the face or whatever. It actually looks like a sick thing, but it also looks classy. Like, it looks...
I wouldn't say classy.
Classy to me, but it looks organized in, like, a very professional kind of way.
I'll say that much, yes, but it doesn't look classy. It's like a warehouse.
And then, Ben Grimm comes in and does his whole verse, and when he goes, you used to be that shit, but lately X fell in tears. It's the same as you outgrowing your shirt sizes. You haven't seen XXL in years. That was like, gosh, that line was so good. And then, like, you see, I think, some graphics along the way to kind of enhance it, to let you see the imagination of the things. Like, like at one point, somebody did a box, and like, I'm like, that's really smart. It's kind of like when non-Canadians watch hockey and they put the little circle around the puck, which
here it is.
Which, I mean, as a Canadian, you're like, that's ridiculous, but apparently it's a thing that happens in the States.
All right.
Anyway, so then girl breaks down why she keeps saying X so much, and he's explaining it's a name it's a name flip, and it makes sense because of his
But
name.
like, I just want to say, like, right away, when you're like seeing like this like redhead ginger guy, whatever, at the beginning, like we don't know what his name is yet. He's just like so nerdy and awkward and
He's a
feels
mad-
and it's more obviously looks out of place. Like he looks like so weird. And then we find out that he's there and he's like studying Ben Grimm, like this other rapper, and it's just like a whole thing. And just like how and when and like in which situations and whatever, like you
But
can
I
use the
think-
N word, so that's what he's there for.
I mean, that's a little bit later on,
Mm-hmm.
but even at this point where they're breaking down the point of the bars, because I think
Okay.
that's kind of essential, right? And just because that happens right after the battle.
Okay, yeah.
This is still in the battle. Ben Grimm's going through, and then he's like, it's hard to explain. Most bars are based on homophones, XXL, which is true. And it's, if I have to be honest, as a writer, it is my weakest area is jumping on the homophones and being like that. Like, I'm good at like everything else you can possibly do with this poetry thing, but that. And then she goes, since there's a homophobe, it's a bar. And the movie is full of lines like this. Like, I'm probably going to say way too many of them for what Bonnie likes, but in case it doesn't work out like that, it's super important because it shows a little bit of her understanding of the situation.
Yeah.
She heard what she wanted to hear. These are a bunch of homophobic, misogynistic, blah, blah, blah. And this is the kind of language she uses, right?
Yep.
So when he says homophone, a music term, she hears homophobe, a term she's familiar with, but more importantly, is likely already thinking. And Coney Sparks, sir, when I realized that you made me watch something that was that well written, and it's written by this like rap battle rapper dude, and they had some battle rap to promote it, which I didn't really watch. I skimmed, and I was like, dude, that's ridiculous writing. And it's cool to see a guy who can clearly writing that ridiculous. Like, it's nice to me.
Yep.
And then let's be real. And your baby mom's only with you to collect those checks, bro. He be giving you way more than just hugs and kisses to the XO. And I'm just like, oh, that is so well done. And the way he delivers it with the energy and shit, oh, you're just like, now that's a bar, I just, anyway. It's a good one. It's really, 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 really good. And then they kind of like finish it out, and then they go on about women, and basically Maya and is on Genius, so I'm able to quote it directly. Oh, I get it. The defining characteristic of a bar is how much gross misogyny you can cram into one sentence.
Because that's what women sound like.
And then Adam tries to, well, that's how she is.
Yes.
Adam kind of responds like, don't worry, it's all fake, it's all whatever. And this we're going to touch on later, but it's foreshadowing of basically this conversation between Adam and Maya is the core conversation of the entire movie that gets explored.
Yeah.
Is the misogyny and the wordplay and the violence, let's say, affiliated with the way they treat each other, okay, for the sake of the art form of what they are doing? So Maya clearly doesn't necessarily understand this. She's like, puns about hating women. Oh, look, I don't even know how anyone could be a good person when they spend all their time thinking about horrible things to say about someone. And then it kind of like pivots out as, they kind of discuss it. And yeah, that's basically as the rap ends. And then it goes into the next scene, which would be the post battle. Now, I just want to like touch on this a little bit. I'll be honest with everybody watching this. The main reason I've never really wanted to get into battle rap is because of the amount of time I would have to spend thinking of horrible shit to say to people that I might actually like and respect. And that's a literal part of what this is. And I know many people have the kind of fortitude that can handle that thing, but the almost literal way I would describe it in my mind is how she worded it there. Like, I get that it's not entirely that, but I don't know how I personally could create something that would destroy somebody without having to get real hateful in how I personally think towards them. And this is me and how I approach that situation. Now, as I've evolved, maybe if it's a friendly jar, okay. But the truth is, I wouldn't want to battle nobody unless they really pissed me off and I was going to surgically end their fucking career. Because I don't think I would stop until I researched enough to basically destroy who they were. And that's me. That's my inability to do this for fun, right? And I don't want to battle people because I don't want to be like that. And that's me and how I am.
You could do a compliment battle.
I have no interest in that. That to me, like, even if that's fresh, I just don't want to do that. Like, it doesn't. It seems like a comic version of the real thing. It doesn't feel like, maybe there's some
Yeah.
dope ones, but there's no market for a bunch of people who are going to compliment battles that I've heard of, because it's the internet. So somebody out there watching this is going to have heard of that. But it's not like you're going to make it as a compliment battle rapper.
You
know?
might.
Like, I don't know. Maybe you can, but I don't think you can. I don't want to be that guy. But yeah, so I
That's
thought, like, I'm like, already, like, that's a lot, right? That already happened. Honestly, this is like fucking 6 minutes of movie. And then we find out more about Adam, and he approaches Ben. You know,
Yep.
he reached out to him on Twitter. They agreed to meet, and we get a little foreshadowing into the type of ignorance Adam has, but not like a whole bunch is really there. He just kind of explains his thesis, which is on a particular word that we shouldn't say and will not on this podcast. At least we will not. You know, as they're having this conversation, people keep walking up to Ben and props him and stuff, and, like, you know, he's just like, respect. You know, it's just kind of funny, right? And that's actually important because of something that happens later on in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about why I think this movie is incredible off the jump, is because almost everything you see has a bigger purpose in a way that is clever to me. Anyway, I think the most clever and ridiculous part of that is clearly when some guy walks up and says, my girl wants to suck your dick,
And
I don't even mind. Adam's kind of like trying to explain he's interested in, you know, the race aspect of it, and he's trying to...
It's just such like a white person to do, like, a giant thesis paper on this. Like,
But
it's just
like,
so...
But even, like, as a whole, so, like, I read, what book was it? I don't know, one of the books I read was literally about what it felt like from, like, the black community was describing how it felt just to have, like, white researchers come in and, like, look at them like lab rats and shit. And essentially that's what Adam's actually kind of doing here. Like, he's walking into the battle rap and like, sir, you're my hero type. Well, he doesn't get there yet. He's like, I think you're interesting and I want to write a research paper on why battle rappers use that word. And he's like, yo, there's lots of other that words that you can use and talk to about this. Why me? And, you know, like, Ben just sizes him up as this super geeky dude. And Ben goes, why you want to write it and why Adam even cares. And then Adam just, like, gushes and explains, like, the prowess of his writing and why he likes the poeticness of his things, which is the absolute right thing to say to a writer. And then they start doing shots, and then Maya comes in and gets real mad, and it gets all in Ben's face, confrontational, like. And then Adam assumes she's going to embarrass him, but instead she just kind of wanted to know why no winner was announced. And that's important because it's such again, part of Adam's character. Adam's lack of faith that his girlfriend would have the appropriate judgment, which is also our, like, expectations get challenged too, because it's important about her character. She comes off as this pretentious person off the jump, but, like, why did none of us honestly trust her? Maybe because the music gets all tense or whatever, but we all thought she was gonna ask about the women shit, and instead she just drops this, like, innocuous, well, I just wanted to know why nobody was announced as a winner, which then goes into a whole tangent, which y'all watching this is the first time I'm being like, I need your input, people who know way more about this than I do. Is it true that New York hasn't lost a battle and has an ego so bad that they got rid of judges and stuff, and it's up in the air? And is that, like, all true? Are people's egos
sure it is.
so sensitive that judging and stuff is just gone because people can't deal with losing?
It's like how everybody gets a participation, like, ribbon now.
However, when I really, like, thought about this whole scene as it plays out, I mean, the first time you watch it, you're like, wow, Adam's this, like, smart, inquisitive guy. You know, he's just geeked out or whatever.
He's really nerdy, though.
But
he definitely...
when you watch it the second time,
he's still pretty nerdy.
He's a lot more malicious looking.
Yes.
Because once you watch it the second time and you know how this movie ends, and you see all the clues, because you also see how you remember how everybody's character develops, you realize that
like, he's just like, yeah, he definitely looks like evil looking.
So here's the thing. I'm a white rapper right? That started for Real Reels in 2012. And I don't come from a place that honestly taught me a lot of what I was supposed to know to get into hip hop culture. In fact, from a lot of ways, I'm an outsider who was blessed enough to be in decent enough circumstances to have some level of decent life and whatnot. And I was able to just buy my way in, per se, as far as local Montreal is concerned. Nobody stopped me from going to the studio because I could afford it, and nobody stopped me from buying beats and doing anything because I could just afford it. But I also didn't do my due diligence of studying hip hop culture or caring about the importance of the fundamentals of the art. So I studied rap and hip hop like Adam the Geek in how I approached it. So from a talent perspective, I think it did me a lot of good things in terms of all of how I can be who I am today. On the other hand, the way I treated the culture and the way I approached specifically black people, I know there are probably many people in my past that see me exactly how y'all saw Ben. So when I watched this movie, I'm like, holy shit, that's like a young me. But if it was about songwriters, because I'm a songwriter, I'm not a battle rapper. And so in a lot of ways, there's a lot of things I think that are just going to come out as we discuss this that are mostly based on Holden's anecdotal experiences related to being a white rapper that went on a transition from being a dude like Adam and how he treats it and how he treats people. Because I was an arrogant dick. I was like 25 when I really got into it, and I talked a lot of shit. And there are definitely some people that might want me blackballed just for the shit I talked once upon a time. And you know what? If I can get their point, as we'll leave it at that. I don't think anyone should hold a grudge for 7 years, but I get why they wouldn't want to invest in me, we'll say. So that was just an interesting thing. Well, I just thought it was worth bringing it up now. And then, so it cuts to another little thing, a jump off, which, imply, I don't know, do you have anyone you want to comment here? Because I know I talked a whole lot.
Well, not really. I mean, I'll kind of shove in when I have something different to say, but so far you're just going through the story and
adding commentary.
Yeah,
it's important for the sake of copyright. I've been googling copyright all day.
And then then we see one of the battlers gets too hyped up and stuff, and then he punches his opponent.
Oh, that's
right?
exactly.
Isn't that the next thing that happens?
So that's Disaster. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing.
I couldn't remember what
we were literally having a conversation about a month ago with a fresh ass local dude that is dope, and we won't say his name for now.
Yep.
But we were literally talking about Disaster, and I think he was punched Matt Hoffa, and then there was I think it's Matt Hoffa's the other name in the punching one, and then he'd been punched a few times, and we were just discussing joyfully the punch. So I see Disaster, and obviously I recognize his face, and then the guy he's rapping, and the other guy gets up close, and he just pops him.
Yeah. But Ben calls it before it happens. He's kind of oh, that's the end of this show.
Why,
basically.
man? It's so good, and he can't. But it's again a commentary on Adam versus Ben. Ben is empathetic and pays attention to the situation around him. Adam is oblivious to the fact that a fight's about to break out, mostly because he's so caught up in himself to pay attention to what's going on.
That's true.
As I said, I was not the best person once upon a time, and there is so much of myself I see in Adam, and it's why I am as neurotic as I am to not be that way, per se. So I was like, damn. And my brother's name is Adam, so it's just freaking weird to keep saying Adam like that. Anyway, Disaster punches him, and you got...
Yep, and everybody just
I want to be clear. I felt so fucking cool that I got the joke, that I got the reference that they made. I mean, I actually had to Google and double check that it was really what I thought it was, and it was, and I was like, oh yeah, for once I got the thing. Anyway, and then they're all about to leave, right? And they kind of head out to, Ben actually says something fascinating. He wants the draft of the thingy, and the implication here is, and he says, make sure you don't say anything out of character, out of line, or out of whatever he says, but basically he's implying yo, you better not have my name or my affiliation or my words and then make our culture look bad. And I'm saying this with the hindsight of the whole movie. But what he's saying is, don't be that guy. Don't be that dude that essentially hurts what's happening here.
Yeah.
Be something different. Because While Adam is clearly well-intentioned, I'm not 100% convinced that Ben believes Adam is actually as well-intentioned at the end of the day as he thinks he is. So then they go outside, and everybody's freaking favorite, Billy Pistols,
Yep.
comes up in.
Because they're out in like the parking lot, and he just like starts shouting.
Yeah. Basically, according to Genius, just because it's fun for y'all, Charon's character, Billy Pistol, is based off of a battle rapper, Billy Boondocks, who famously tried to battle Disaster and/or the Saurus at the back of Basics card of April 2015. Disaster eventually got fed up with him talking and started punching. Oh, Disaster's just punching everybody, and then that's funny.
That's
so he
probably why
comes
it's
up to the
called
guy at the
Disaster.
end. And then Billy Pistols comes in and he just does a little rappy shit. And then
And they
Ben's
like duke it out.
just finished battle. But I get it, man. Like, here's the thing. If you get in stacks to go battle, don't battle for free no more. There's no, like, why are you in it? He's like, yo, let's make this street stuff. Blah, 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 blah. I thought you were cool. And then Ben's like, this was funny. He goes, Billy Pistol goes, and your girl, I won't skip her. After I'm done, I'ma kill again. But he's trying to say that like Gilligan. And everyone's like, did you just try to make a Gilligan sound like Gilligan? And then, drop it out, Gilligan Allen Buzz, bro. And then, anyway, Jimmy Pistols keeps spitting. And then Ben Grimm's like,
He's trying to like challenge him, but then he like kind of like hands it off to like Adam.
Yeah, and Adam's like, actually, I don't rap. You know what? Right there. Any guy that kind of acts like my level of pretentiousness vocabulary-wise, that starts a sentence with actually like that, is about to be an asshole. It's just facts. Nobody starts actually. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'm trying so hard to not be that guy no more. And sometimes I catch myself, and even then I'm like, fuck that guy. And I'm talking about myself then. Anyway, so Billy Pistol's like, whatever, let's go in. And then Adam starts off his first line. You're here trying to battle Ben Grimm because he's got the kind of stardom you seek. But you'll never reach that bar because all your bars are a reach. And he kind of does some thing like that.
Yeah, he starts off like purposely bad, I think.
No, I think he's just
I don't
not
know,
sure
you
how to
can't
do
tell.
it yet. And then he calls him a wigger. And then, let's be real, the kid is not your son. He doesn't have single Billie Jean.
That was
I'm
yeah,
like,
that was a pretty good line.
He spit on his gun, talk about violent mind at work, but you got nothing to back it up. That's a Miley Cyrus twerk. And I was like, oh, that one was good. That one got me into this is a freaking great thing. But basically, Adam establishes here that, well, in fact, he has bars. Then he tells Ben he was a poet, and it cuts back to Adam doing his poetry. And oh boy, is Adam's poetry freaking terrible in the way he delivers it. And Ben is like, yo, you got bars. And then the look on Adam's face, that goofy ass, I have had that exact same goofy ass feeling. There was a period of my time, because I'm admitting openly that I was formerly an ignorant person in a lot of ways. But anytime a black person said I could rap, it just meant more than a white person. I know that's not the kind of stuff you're supposed to admit on the internet, even if it was in the past, because that's just not allowed these days for some reason. But I don't think we can learn unless people can admit they were stupid, learn some shit, and are not stupid. By the way, I do Behind That Suit, and we do these reviews so that we can study the culture and not appropriate it and contribute to the culture. So we're going to work on the local scene and actually do something to help people document. That's something we can do, so we should. And that, I believe, is the difference. Now, you can disagree with my understanding, and if you can teach me something, I'm very happy to learn it, because I also recognize the fact that I'm a white dude talking about hip-hop, and I have to understand, you know, kind of that it's not black, well, I was about to say black and white, which is a fucking terrible expression to use. It's complicated.
Yes.
But I really, like, even the look on his face, that, I think it was in that moment that I realized how well written this is, because the look on his face is believable. And I'm like, damn, that kid's proper. That kid studied a lot of Eminem. Did we do the Eminem part? No, I think that comes after.
Yeah.
Anyway, Do you have anything more to comment? Because we're going to move on to the next scene.
I just thought it was funny that because, like, you know, he wasn't, you know, going to necessarily accept the challenge, and then he does, and it's like to like the chagrin so much of his girlfriend. She's like, like,
Yes.
like she's like, oh no. I don't even think she gets out of the car. Like she's just like, whatever, do whatever, and whatever. So it was just funny. Like she's so bad that she's so funny. And yeah, and then he like spits like a mean game and like impresses everybody. So I think that's really cool.
Except her. She's not impressed because he can do it.
Yeah, and then like that's kind of like what happens because then we see the scene when they're like driving away, and you know, he's in the car with the girl, and you know, he's all impressed and she's like relatively like unimpressed.
I once had an ex-girlfriend that was not her accused me of bait and switching because I apparently wooed her with bass guitar. Yes, I can play the bass guitar a little bit.
Never heard it once.
It's because it's broken and I don't have an amp because I rap now. And then basically, like right after we started dating for reals, I'm like, I'm gonna be a rapper now. And she's like, what? And then I just started making rap music. And
she's like, I thought I was dating a rock star. Now I'm going out with a rapper.
Kind of literally happened a little bit like that. And at first she was not impressed. I mean, she got more impressed, but I mean, so I was kind of like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. This movie's hitting home on all levels. But I think what's most important is their conversation kind of looking at the validity of the poetry in it, because they kind of comment like it's kind of fucking weird that some random ass old white guy Canadian poet can just get like an award, but honestly
that's exactly what they make reference to.
I know, that's why I said it. I wrote it down. I was reading in my notes.
Right.
And simultaneously, like, you could have some of the illest street poetry ever and it'll never even be considered, and that's kind of weird.
Yep. And
like the quality of the poetry is not in question. It's the culture behind the poetry. So I don't know. I've never read Canadian poetry. Like, I don't actually know. And I thought about that for a second. I'm like, for all the time I've spent studying hip hop's poetry, I might have read like 4 classics ever. I mean, the number of poems I've read outside of school is like 2 outside of actual music, which is
I've read poetry
crazy.
books. They're definitely not my first choice, but like I'll read them if somebody like suggests it, or somebody I know wrote it or wrote something in it, or you know, like I read a poetry book that my boss gave me, like lent me, so I was like, all right, I better read it.
So I was exaggerating a bit. The girl I was dating was pretty supportive of it, but for a lot of years of my life, motherfuckers laughed at me for being another white rapper, especially because, come on guys, I know how geeky I look. That's part of why I got the beard and the hair now. I get it. Every time I get on stage, every time they all look at me like, who the fuck is this? And I'm in a suit. That's why the channel's called Behind That Suit, because I rap in a suit. There you go. If you caught that, you know. Everyone else got to have to do it in some AMA. And then so when you look at how she's kind of laughing at the idea of him being a battle rapper, again, been there and I saw that before.
But then he like realizes it's just like poetry, and he does like slam poetry contest or something.
That was some bad.
Oh, he does poetry.
His poetry was awful.
It's not great, but I mean,
it was bad.
Now his raps are.
However, I don't remember the sequence of the scene, but I also wrote that Adams, a guy who is a coward who wears no pants in his relationship. That was something else that I gathered from that. I don't have a lot more to say about this little part of it. What about you?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. And then I feel like we go into, like, he just kind of wonders about that. And then I think that like, the next scene is we see him like in a classroom and then like talking to like a college professor.
Oh, they're reading Dostoevsky. Guess what I'm reading? This is how like really close to home this really hit.
Dostoevsky.
I'm literally reading Crime and Punishment.
I think they're doing
Who cares?
Brothers
What's the likelihood that they bring up this dude to imply pretentious honkies doing their middle class crap? And I'm literally reading the same author and I'm like, Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? It is so good, though. The run-on sentences, like, I literally quoted some crap on Facebook. It's so well written. It's not the same, but it's so good. But I have my own feelings on the classics. I actually think it's whack how, like, there's this timestamp where, like, nothing after, like, 1900 Everybody's Dead can be considered worth reading for kids.
Huh?
No, for real.
What are you talking about?
People do not like to accept new media as appropriate educational material for kids. This isn't some crap I'm making up. Maybe you don't know about this, but go look at all the stingy old-ass crap we herald as the greatest crap ever. But will turn down higher quality. Like, Shakespeare's not exactly high-quality writing. It's good writing.
Well, I mean, it was a pivotal point in, like,
It's not
English
like
literature,
it's not
history,
like
blah, blah, blah.
there are plenty of better writers.
Yeah.
He just meant, like I'm trying to say.
I mean, I'm not necessarily
So
going to
my
go
point
pick up a
is,
Shakespeare book, but I'll
maybe
go pick up some
there's
other books.
actually more value in having them read newer books with more relevant
I
things.
think reading a variety of things is the best. It doesn't
My
have
whole
to. You
point
can read some old
is
and some new.
That the way the old stuff is treated by academia is absolutely different than the new stuff. So if
Well, it just touches on different things.
no, it is treated differently. One is considered to be a higher quality of material than the other by academia. This isn't just some crap I'm making up. You can go test it. Go ask people how they feel about the new materials versus the old, any subject.
Yeah, but I mean,
People
in
get-
school,
linguistics.
like, teachers reference both.
Do you know why To Kill a Mockingbird is a classic? Because somebody forgot to file a patent on the copyright and the schools jumped on that shit. It had nothing to do with the quality of writing. That is the truth. When you look at the
I
history...
don't think. I mean, honestly, I haven't yet read To Kill a Mockingbird.
But the point is,
but
it had nothing to do with how
I think
good
it's
or...
the story.
No,
I think
it
it's
is
the
literally...
moral and the story.
You're not
no?
correct. The actual story for this is the person didn't file the copyright, so when copyright law went into effect, it was one of the only books they could steal and use.
Okay.
They didn't have to buy it. They could just print it. And it was a money-saving choice. So if To Kill a Mockingbird is heralded as a classic because of a forgotten copyright and nothing to do with the quality of writing per se, and nobody knows because people don't fucking Google shit. Like, I'm not really helping my case and proving I'm not geeky and stuff here. I completely get that. I'm really not, but it's just how it all works. So when I think the point being made is even in this academia, this old school shit is considered high class and dope, and even in the movie they're making this point, but like the new stuff is just kind of shunned on. I guess maybe every now and then something will be like a pop classic everybody reads, but it's not like Harry Potter was read in class. People just jumped on that shit, you know? Anyway.
I think they read it in class.
Do they? They didn't read it in class when I was in class back then.
Well, because the series hadn't finished yet.
Anyway, so his dad is like flexing on some crap and quotes the...
But we find out that it's like the college
Oh, we
professor
don't
is
know
his
his
father
dad.
at like the end of the scene.
Right.
And like, it's kind of like, ooh, okay.
But the guy's just flexing some ignorant shit and then quotes that LL retort, 99% of you fans don't exist. Like it is the cleverest thing you ever heard. And I'm like, have you not heard the spot fuck your bitch, you fat motherfucker? Like, come on, even that's a fucking better start than what LL said. I'm certain LL shit's dope. Whatever. His dad, he walks up and approaches his dad to go over the paper, and his dad shits on his dreams. And I'm like, yep, my dad shat on my dreams too. Anyway, his academic breakdown of humanities, you can't, so he writes, his view of the humanities is you can write about whatever bullshit you want as long as you can justify it. And I'm like, wow, that's like an interesting like way to look at that whole field of study, as though it's a bunch of garbage ass drivel that like, honestly, and the fact that in a sense, he's telling his kid, yo, don't worry about this real thing that you're trying to study, documenting this culture, legitimizing it in any way. Go do some fluffy crap. Make up something like I did, comparing hip-hop to Japanese samurai, blah, blah, blahs. I don't know if we find that out now, but that's what we find that out at some point. Mm-hmm. And then, yep. So we find that out.
Well, it's like, we find out that his father, like, along with being like a professor, is also like a famous like literary critic.
Yeah.
And then like we kind of like see him, and like, you know, throughout the movie, whenever we see him, we kind of like he's a bit of a schmoozer. Like he's I don't know. He's kind of snotty.
And then we have the girl. I wrote girlfriend walk. That was how I named this next part, where they walk up the halls and they walk up the little campus, and she's like making fun of him, like kind of jesting, poking fun about how much his dad like beat him down or whatever. And I was like, that's interesting, because she's basically dropping bars on him in a sense and ripping at him. He clearly doesn't really get that. He takes it like really personal, I find. And then they question a bit, like, what culture is he validating, this misogynistic blah, 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 blah. Like, is that really something you want to do? And I really think that debate is huge in hip-hop. Like, something I try to talk about at work all the time is how good the business lessons are in the crack dealer rappers. Like, there's so many good business points you can learn from that. Like, no lies. You guys can go watch any of my crack dealer rapper reviews lately, where I'm going on about all the business stuff I see in it. And like, I try to explain it to people, and they're like, yeah, but there's different risk involved. And I'm like, you're fucking dumb. There's good business involved. Like, are you not getting the point? This is how you build shit? People obviously don't, because they can't see past the superficial of what's being said. Like, is the violent lyrics, is talking about Mac 10s, is that problematic or not? And that's kind of the point of this. And then she sees some black guy who looks kind of homeless, sleeping on a couch, wants him removed, but they can't do that. And then she makes a snarky ass comment about how in communism everyone will be given hygiene products.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The second you say communism, you're like, I don't like you anymore. Like, you just don't like her because she wants to be a communist. Now, here's the problem with communism. It's never worked.
It's great on paper. It just doesn't work in reality.
It just won't. Oh, and then he promises earlier on he's going to go to his dad's party. I'll read to you.
And then he goes to the dad's party. Like,
Dad's pretentious. Everything's pretentious. That's my first notes for this. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
He's with. Oh, and did you remember when the dad was sitting there just at the end, like flossing his deep poetic analysis with his trim beard, and like 18 chicks are around him, and he's like, "Oh, Professor so and so, he's got good poetry mind. I want to suck his dick." That's kind of what I pictured. Is that not what was going down with all those groupies around him?
I suppose.
Are you gonna tell me in office hours he doesn't have a few that come on through?
Well, clearly.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he's a schmoozer. He's kind of like...
He's getting his dick wet with students because he's a poetry guy and he's famous. Anyway.
And then we have, like, the dinner party. Like, so we go to, like, the spanky dinner party. And, like, all of these people are so snotty and awful and just, like, blech. And, like, they're all just, like, so PC. And it's just, like, the worst. And then, like, they're asking him about the, the battle. And, like, they want him to like insult them or like battle them, which is clearly like a trap. Like, just don't do it. And he doesn't do it, but he, like, in his mind, like, he's thinking up like all of these
but it's like he's getting annoyed because they're having one of those conversations, the is this racist conversations, which I've been privy to, where we debate the semantics of if a particular sentence said by a person is racist or not, and the reasons why it is or not through microaggression lenses. And honestly, it's kind of a interesting conversation to listen to because they're all going on about whatever. And then they're almost like mocking, oh, the guns and stuff in hip-hop. And then he starts composing lines in his head, which is kind of a cool thing that he does. And you get to, like, be part of his mind, and they flash all the words on the screen and crap.
Yep.
And then it's like, I wrote, gosh, the racist checking is lame and real. Because if you guys, I don't know if you've seen that, but I have been around plenty of often younger folk, and this is exactly what it sounds like in the room. And I'm like, this is, I get why some of the older folk are not feeling like it's annoying, as Bonnie said. Then Robert, the gay one, mocks a black lady, and Adam finds this confusing as the whole chat has been about what is being racist being said. But when Adam does, when the gay one does the black person voice, I mean, this is the only way I can describe it. I know it's kind of bad, but it's relevant to the point being made. Everyone's like, well, it's not racist because of the inherent deep connection between gays and blacks, and therefore it's totally okay to make fun of black people. Is kind of the point.
And then they call him ignorant, and it's just like...
And he's like...
It's just too much. They all just sound like social justice warriors or whatever, and they're all just so white. And they're all just trying to call each other out.
Asians can't be racist because of this.
Being
Asians
racist
can
for everything
totally
that
be
they
racist
say.
because of minorities. But at the end of the today.
I'm sorry. How are Asians a minority?
That's a really good point. I believe Caucasian is a visible minority in Vancouver City, Canada, like the particular Vancouver City, which is the third biggest city in Canada. So that's fascinating. But I really think the bigger point being made in this scene is simply, even when it comes to like the conversation of racist, like everybody's kind of protected more than black people, and there's always seems to be okay to make fun of black people, even if it's to do a caricature of a black sassy black woman. That's an acceptable thing if you're gay. I have a lot of comments just in general about the acceptable things thing, but I don't think it's a time or place, and I don't know if I should talk about it on camera. Anyway, so we cutting down and we go.
Just the whole thing is just like a hot mess of a situation to be in. Like, I would hate it. And like this is clearly like a reflection of like what some people are genuinely like. I just think it's awful.
So then, yeah, we jump ahead and Adam's kind of trying to write his paper and he's trying to figure it out. He's trying to find a title.
It's like the next day or something.
He's really struggling to like rewrite it a few times and figure it out.
While eating beef jerky.
Which is actually relevant. So I wrote, Adam struggles to find a title, gets the booking dude, calls him up, then his GF is there, and he notably hides a real beef jerky packet. And then I wrote,
because she's like super vegan and
he's
whatever.
faking, and then I wrote, he's faking that shit for pussy. Oh, cringy. I mean, he's faking being a vegan? Giving up meat to get with a girl? Come on, Adam. All the things that you've done so far, this was the most cringy I've seen.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then she eats the freaking beef jerky. He doesn't stop her. He lets her do it because he's afraid of getting in trouble, which actually makes you an asshole. Like, just throwing it out there. It's amazing the things you can do with tofu. But, like, you can see she's, like, super fucking sincerely just into trying to be the best version of herself she can be, even if you don't like her. And then the whole way through the scene, he's on the phone and he's answering both his girlfriend and
he gets a call from like a promoter or something.
But he's trying to hide it from her, and he's basically lying to his girlfriend while having everything he says answers both these people in creepy weird ways.
Why is she like having like a full blown loud conversation when she can clearly see that he's on the phone? It's like, shut the fuck up. Maybe that's just my opinion.
I agreed with that, but I think it would have made the scene less
funny. But I'm just like,
and then I really enjoyed this because he goes, "Oh, Adam." He's like, "Yeah, you just call me Adam. You say your real name because you really about that life." And allow me to be clear. What is the name I use? Even on Spotify, the full 3-named government official is I'm really about that life. Holden, Stephan, Roy. Even got it on a shirt.
Yep,
anyway,
that's true.
I don't know. I was really excited. And then, yeah, that's about all that happens there. He agrees to do the battle. And then you hear, but I got fake ID, though. And then Jaquan's TFC starts playing. Anyway, I don't really know that I can beatbox well. Anyway, it's kind of play, and then you watch as Adam basically looks up his opponent in like the stupidest fucking scene you've ever seen. As he's like cooking, and he just leans back and he's typing, and I'm like, this is the absolute worst scene in the movie, and it's trash. And you could have just sat there.
It's just like a montage of him like preparing and like thinking of like
a lot of weed.
Material to use on his raps.
Likes his grandma, smokes weed. He's Asian. And it's like, this is fucking like whatever. But you know what? That's all fine. It's the way he just kept reaching back and not typing, like a little over the top, a little not cool. And he's moving on in life. He's even shitting while writing raps. And something I like to bring up is how nobody goes to take shit in movies. So kudos. I have shat and written rap. It's good to know others do that too. I bet all y'all right on here, y'all have written some raps while taking a shit too.
Well, when you gotta write.
Gotta do what you gotta do. What else you gonna do? Are you sitting there play some Facebook games? Nah, drop some bars. And then it's like, my favorite scene is when she's lying there in bed and you just want to get some. You go over for a little cuddle or
she has like her sleep mask on and everything. And she's
relatable.
Like, nope.
This is just currently relatable. Sometimes it's just a nope moment, okay? I think every man out there has nope moments with her. And what are we supposed to do? We say, yes, dear, because you're the best, and nobody wears the pants in the relationship.
It's just no pants.
Then we cut to Adam at the event. And he walks in, and there's these two dudes who are, in fact, probably battle rappers, and that's why they're there. But I'll be completely honest, you have no fucking idea who they are. And they're roasting him.
But they're relevant because they're kind of like pop up, and they're definitely like contenders at the end of
Those are the two guys?
Yes.
Oh, it's fucking guys they murk at the end?
Yeah.
I completely missed that. Anyway, so he meets them, and they're going at him, and they're just making fun of him. And you know what was really...
Colored people time.
Allow me to be clear.
Hip hop time.
When he walked in, and they're like, what are you fucking doing here? Okay. I had my face on the freaking flyer of an event. Sometimes you'll see it depending on where the camera's at in some of our videos. I keep it on the door. I thought it was cool. So I am the literal host of the event with my face on the flyer. It is the only face on the flyer. I am at the event in a suit, having the guy on the flyer in a suit, keep in mind. It's me, and a dude in Montreal, and whatever. I walk into the back, because I may have smelled something delightful, and I wanted to go backstage too and be cool. And I figured, I'm on the flyer. I can go, and they looked at me like, who are you? I had to literally pull up the freaking Facebook thing to show them I'm the freaking guy on the flyer before they let me come in. However, the same dude came at me after and said, I respect the fact that you did your thing with no hype man. Because I don't know about your cities, but our city has sometimes the problem where next thing you know, 8 guys are on the stage and you're like, who's the rapper?
Yeah.
So even like the way they mistreated him as the camera guy and just looked at him. And so what I like about this movie is how honest all the prejudice is thrown in all directions.
Yeah, it's true.
And then Che Corleone comes in and...
He's like the troublemaker du jour.
So, allow me to be clear. There was a long time where the number one reason I got into rap was to secure vagina. Now, I wasn't compromising my integrity to do it, but I figured if I could get girls by rapping, that's fucking easy. And it turned out I was right. It is not that hard if you rap to convince girls you're ambitious enough to date in some way or another. Just saying. And then I thought about the most significant moment of this scene.
But like he asked him to be like his wingman.
Yep, and he's like, bro, look at the great turnout. There are 2 girls here. And I'm like, that is a good turnout for a local rap show. 2 single chicks? Holy crap, the Sausage Fest City for days, man. Even having one girl in the room that's not attached to a guy is freaking good sometimes. Because, some events, sure, there's some ladies who come through. But I'm talking, like, most events, it's like guys, a sea of guys and a couple of girlfriends. Tangent. I went to a show on Friday night. It is a couple of days ago. Who cares what date it is now? September 4th. But either way, I went to a show on my past Friday that was like 8 female MCs. That was it. No guys were booked. It was like whatever. All the girls came with their girl posses. There was like 8 guys in the room. Most of them were boyfriends, and a few of them worked the place. And I'm like, I am the only single guy in the room. Not like single, but like without a girl. The only one. I have never been at a rap event where it's just women everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Fun tip for you single dudes out there. Go support your local women rappers and watch how your life changes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're single. If you're not single, talk to your girlfriend
your
first
life
and
can
get some
still
permission.
Change, but that's on you.
And then it's very funny how Adam's like, I bet you wanted me to go take the fat one. And he's like, fuck no, I want that booty. And I'm like, my brother. I'm like, hells yeah. And then Adam's like, oh, wow. And then the skinny white girl's like, and like licking her tongue and shit at Adam. It is fucking gross. It's just weird. And I'm like, that was, everything about that was real too. I was kind of like, all of that made sense. But we've been introduced to our next friend in the posse, Mr. Che Corleone or whatever. Yep. And then
we find out that the woman that he's hitting on is actually one of the rappers and knows all about him and how he has lost the last 3 rap battles, and so she's just kind of like shutting him down
emasculates him.
hard.
Emasculates.
And yeah, and just like really like destroys him. Like it's like almost like a battle. And she's clearly like a fan and definitely involved, and he should have paid more attention at other events.
So what we're learning here is women are as underestimated in this game as honkies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's amazing that they included a female battle rapper to come and improve some shit.
Yep.
Alright. So
Adam
then
versus
the first
CrossFit.
event comes in, and as we talked, what do you white people call it? Color time or whatever? I don't know, like I don't remember what I'm not allowed to say. I couldn't remember what the actual...
Yeah, because white people call it running on hip hop time, and that's exactly like when the white hose comes in.
Dirt Nasty comes in and goes, "It's hip hop," and I'm like,
Sorry, I'm late. Running on hip hop time.
what's amazing is that I have certain songs I like to wake up to in the morning for a while. And for a very long time, Bonnie had the pleasure of hearing, what's his name? Jack Nicholson go like something about your queer party friends. And then Mr. Dirt Nasty be like, "I got a gold chain like it
Every
was
day.
1980. So
Every
I
day.
pretty happy. And then
That's the first thing you hear every day screaming at
currently
you.
it's Die for the Government by Anti-Flag.
It's just as bad.
It's amazing.
It's all terrible.
In fact, it's better
Just-
because it wakes me up more.
It makes
but,
me want to throw the phone.
Dirt Nasty's there, and I had to say, like, that's pretty incredible to see Dirt Nasty, and we will get another member of the Three Locos rap group showing up in a little bit, which got me also excited because we are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, cool. If you don't, I'm geeky. That's my excuse. Anyway, so all of a sudden, we have, his name is Donnie Narco. I forgot that Riff Raff's name, not Riff Raff, anyway. I forgot that Dirt Nasty's name is Donnie Narco. That's hilarious. So he's fucking the most wigger-ass wigger you ever seen with the chains, which is funny because I bet that's the actual criticism that Dirt Nasty's probably gotten throughout his career. Anyway.
He's got like some of like the best lines.
And then he's like, Adam Merkham, which is a really good name. He really should have gone with Adam Merkham. I'm just throwing it out there. And he's like, whatever. And then Donnie Narco's, just Adam? Okay. He be on that Cher, Ronaldo, Roseanne type vibe. Again, this is all ingenious. I feel you play. And I just like it because I remember when I may have sounded a little more like him than I would like to admit at this older age in my life. Anyway, so Prospect, who is apparently dumb found dead, which is a real battle rapper, obviously, goes through his thing, like, who the fuck sent me out with this little homo? This kid look he should be doing
good.
Disney promos. He looked like he loved writing essays, which is, get it, essays, like a prison chulo. I'm like, oh, his yearbook photo looked like the bitch from the Wendy's logo. That was funny. Anyway, it's fine. He just does some shit like, I'll die for Trump. You look like Conan O'Brien's son. Just fine. And he goes on through. The best line is, you probably get into fights like, let me Adam. Actually, his butler be fighting for him like, let me Adam. And let's be real, that is the funniest fucking bar in this entire verse that he drops.
I feel like I'm going to say the best line in this one is, motherfucker, hold the irony. You look like Ron Weasley, but you sound like Hermione.
That was pretty good. But it's not quite the let me Adam with the butler line good.
I mean, that was well done, but I liked the Harry Potter reference.
Anyway, and then Adam comes in and he's kind of describing, he's trying to tactify, wow, Virginia Tech, it's offensive, blah blah blah.
As Prospect was going through, Adam, like, you could see he was like trying to like put like retorts. Is that the right word? Retorts back like in his mind, but like it just like when he opened his mouth, like the shit just didn't make sense what he was coming out.
Adam, this is not that. We'll get into why it didn't work, but Adam came in and he rapped at them. I can't believe this guy's up here talking about Virginia Tech. That's offensive to the victims and their families. Why are you disturbing the dead?
It just didn't rhyme or anything
No, it
or
did.
sound good.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you saying? Like your whole point is he was offensive? It's like you're almost complimenting him for making he broke down the bar and almost explain why it's a good bar. I think that's fucking funny.
All right, yeah.
But he did it unintentionally. You need to stop. If I had a Disney promo, that means I've popped. You kind of remind me of the D in Disney. You look like a G, but you're not. I don't get that. Is there...
Yes, I get it. But...
Is the D in Disney not a D?
It's a D, but it just does not... Like, for, 10 years, my first 10 years of living, watching all of the Disney movies, I had 12 years? I don't know when I actually was like, that's a fucking D? It just doesn't look like you were when you were a kid. Maybe I'm telling you, and you didn't even realize. But, it just looks...
Oh, it's the music sign thing. You know what? I never thought it was a D until just now. I see it. I never saw the D until... That's a good bar. I guess. Just weirdly placed.
I got what
this thing. Yeah, and then you see Adam has these 2 folders pop up, which is his decision-making process. Whatever, racist. And he just clicks on racist, and he goes in.
Because I think his whole intention was that he intended to steer clear of the racist bars and to not be just play the Asian card.
Now here's the thing I want to touch on. There's absolutely a way to probably do what Adam intended to do, but when it didn't work, he just said, fuck it. I do have a puppy in my bag. I'm delivering your takeout, you know? You're still Asian. You can use a piece of string as an IMAX. And when you watch movies on your iPad, it looks like an IMAX. And that's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking funny. Pronouncing, when he's just like, his bonsai, he'll take a little cut from the trees. Or whatever he does.
Nobody knows what you're saying when you do that voice.
They know what I'm saying because they saw the fucking movie. So they know what the fuck I'm talking about because everyone quoted that line later on. They do. I'm hoping. You talk about killing people in your rounds, act like you have real homies. It's like anime girl pillows. Stop pretending they're real bodies. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. I know people who have those pillows. The King Jong-un doesn't mean you're ill, son. And I'm like, oh, that's a good line. Racist, yep. but and he was, it was pretty fucking good. Anyway, and then he just kind of makes fun of him. And then he goes, because you don't really know what you're fucking with. Like you had a one-night stand in Thailand. And that was actually And he just goes, faggot. And you're like, oh. Hell, I often even question saying it in the podcast. I mean, I'm willing to defend.
I don't think it's something that you say.
Let me be clear. I will happily reference that word.
It's not a word that's used often. But I also liked when he's rapping. I liked whatever Dirt Nasty or whatever. I just thought the host. I have no idea who this guy was.
It's Dirt Nasty.
He had hilarious lines. As Adam was rapping, he had amazing lines such as white people and then he laughs and he goes privilege. It's just it's fucking hilarious. It's the best part. He only has a few lines, but they're amazing.
However, what he's doing is really intelligent. Mm-hmm. He's breaking down the one word, why this fucking works, because people are so fucking basic that a joke about privilege, I get it, and that's it. That's the end of it. And you're like, oh, okay. So his commentary, hilarious. It was one of them. All of their commentary, Charlemagne does it some of the best later on. But all of this is kind of it's really funny commentary. But I do think it serves the greater good or greater point of pointing out this is kind of the mindset of what the people watching battle. And this is again foreshadowing shit they talk about later on. But the fact that they layered the movie like that and you can catch all these hidden things the whole way through is pretty dope. Plus for the sake, because it's a movie review, the cinematography is really well shot. I don't know how to describe a lot, but there's cool flashy zoomy things that do a lot, and there's a couple nice animations, and more or less everything looks pretty.
That's not all cinematography.
I don't even know how to describe this crap, so what I'm trying to say is
yes.
The movie was well made from a logistical point of view, and that's the end of my production stuff. Isn't it cinematography? Isn't that the process
those are the special effects?
There's
more to it.
And the shots. I was describing all of those things, okay? All of the things that you were saying is the more to it, I was included. I don't mean that literally.
Okay, all right.
Even costume designs and the choice of music and all of it. Then we cut a little bit to Divine Right in the... Or no, is the bar after? Yeah, the bar comes in, so we cut to the bar. And I thought this was the most interesting conversation, one of the most in the movies. And Adam on his end is all concerned with not being perceived as a racist.
But he gave, because I have to also say, like, when he was rapping or rap battling, he didn't intend on being racist, but like it's kind of what the audience wanted, what they expected. Like they're like, okay, there's an Asian guy going against a redhead. All right. Like we kind of know what's gonna, like there was already like the Harry Potter references and everything else, and Wendy's and everybody else that's redhead, and now it's you just do what's obvious. So I think that's kind of what they were expecting, and so he was able to give it to them.
However, what I think is the most interesting about the scene is basically that the whole conversation is, there's two conversations happening. There's the one that Che is trying to have with Adam, kind of saying, yo, it's kind of weird that no matter what happens all the time, everybody has to go to the racist jokes. I mean, at least you were Korean and you were like a little bit better than the average Chinese ching ching stuff. Oh, I shouldn't use that. I don't know if that was bad. If you're offended, I don't know if that's in the same word.
But that's what he's like describing it.
So like I just don't know what the line is. I know I can't drop an N-bomb on this podcast, but I can basically say all the other words and still survive. So I really don't know where the line is. And if I do offend somebody, it is not my intention. We're talking about sensitive shit. I'm self-aware at least. So what is fascinating is that he's kind of being like, dude, I don't really like the fact that at the end of the day, everything is just about how Asian I am.
And I like that, like, he also says, like, he definitely wants to,
it's not Che, it's the other guy, it's Prospect that's saying this. I'm confused.
Yeah, it's not Prospect. Because he's talking to him and saying, like, oh, I just want, like you were saying, like, I just want you to know I'm not really racist, like, blah, 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 blah. And then he replies to him in Korean calling him, like, yeah, you're really
piece
racist.
Of shit. And I thought that was incredible because
he's just like, oh, yeah. Like, he has no idea what he said.
I spent so many years being that. Oh, I'm not racist, but black people is, and Chinese people that, and women this, but you might not think you're racist, which is the point of it, but if what you're saying is perpetuating hateful stereotypes, then perhaps what you're doing is not racist.
I would just like to quote a line from the musical Avenue Q. Everyone is a little bit racist. And that's all I have to say about that. And I would say that in a racist tone, but
the thing is that I can relate to the denial that comes from trying to fight off the notion that you could be racist. Like, Adam doesn't see himself as racist because in his mind, this is battle rap, so it's allowed. And so, yeah, that's just the act. This is the me behind it. But meanwhile, the guy receiving those battle raps is going, you racist piece of shit. Like, what you're saying is really racist. Mm-hmm. It might be allowed, but is it? And then Shake brings a girl over, and the girl's like, and he goes, I liked your battle rapping. And again, this is to further the point of the types of people that they're dealing with, right? And she's like
a groupie girl.
And then she's like, I like when you make fun of him for being Asian, and then grabs his dick and kind of implies she's now willing to try some skinny white boys. And then Che explains to Adam how to mac, and Adam gets a call and rudely leaves everyone. However, that girl did not move. Like, she was like a cat that had decided she's sitting down in a place and you can't move the cat. I don't mean that to explain like vaginas. I mean literally her cats will sit in places and not move, and they're stubborn. And I was like, how dense can you be, woman? Is it like whenever...
They're not dense.
Basically,
they're stubborn. Watch
this. Nobody can see the phone in my hand. That's how people treated Adam like the whole freaking movie. It was really weird. So then Che explains to him how to mac. That was really funny. But again, I also kind of empathize with not macking in moments where you should have, because if in my hindsight, I may have had a few more moments like that happened in my life that I misplayed because I was being dumb. As in, I wasn't even aware of the fact that girl was throwing herself at me kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was dumb. Then Adam rudely leaves everyone because, I say rudely because here's the thing. If you're with this group of people and your girl calls, send her a text, be like, yo, I'll get back to you shortly. But no, it's
yeah, like... but we already, like, know what this girl's like. She wouldn't take that as, like, an answer.
But it doesn't make it less rude. right? It's like, yo, Adam, like it's showing that this is a priority. Oh my God, I have to answer it right away. Ugh, fuck out of here.
He's whipped, is what it is.
So then,
But then he goes out, and like every guy that like comes up to him to like tell him like a good job for what he's done, like he is jumpy, like he is like scared. But like, to be fair, like some of the guys like come out of nowhere and they're like yelling in his face.
But what I love about it is that they use the movie, the cinematography,
Yep.
to create tension. But that tension is Adam's perspective. So it is this, like, how he sees it being conveyed, so you're supposed to feel the, yo, bro, that was some of the sickest bars you ever spit.
Like it's just like weird the way, like, I mean, I get the like the point of like how it's shot, and like that these black guys are just like coming up out of nowhere, and he has to be scared all the time. But like,
and somewhere in the middle of all that, we have Divine, who's like rapping a little bit, and it's fine. It's good. I don't think there's any bars in there I thought were good. And then it cuts over, I believe, to the library.
His girlfriend, he's in trouble with his tight ass girlfriend for not being around, is what it is.
Oh.
And then he goes to the library and he's Skyping with Ben Grimm.
A Skype call with Ben at the library, and they discover at that point he's been invited down to LA for the weekend, and he just kind of like is in the library. And what's really funny is that everyone's
people in the library, nobody's actually reading,
but everyone's mad at him for being loud while they're playing a poker game, while they're sleeping. And it's just like, what? And they're all mad at him for being disturbing people on a Skype call, which is kind of funny.
I would also say there's a cat in the library, which is super cute. Every library should have at least one cat. And
then he's just like, I'm lying to my girlfriend about this battle rap thing. And you're like, okay, I don't know why I had to tell everybody that. And then Ben's probably like, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Yep.
And then they go through the N-word conversation, where Ben is just like, don't patronize me, just say the damn word. Upon which, if any of y'all say that to me, I'm gonna not say the damn word, because it does not matter if you personally think I can say it. What matters is that it's a stupid idea for me to say it at this point in time due to the history and context of the word. Facts. I know what N-word means. I have to kind of contextualize it. I don't know how else to describe this particular word. But I think that by coding it, you add this layer of understanding that I'm not permitted to say that word for a lot of good reasons, of which I don't think I need to explain to anybody. And if I do, well, we can do that not here and now. And he just starts saying it, man. He just says it a whole bunch. And back in that first scene when Adam and Ben meet, he's just like, if you want to say it, there's better ways to say it, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, oof, yeah. Adam obviously doesn't really want to say that at one point, but he's kind of eager.
Then he starts saying it.
And then he looks around first. Are there any black people here? Are there any black people here? Turns out that behind his little computer, there was a black person who was not so thrilled about Adam saying it. You know what the worst part is? Is instead of Adam having the respect to be like, look, I'm sorry if that offended you. This is what's going on. I know it's not conventional. Please be forgiving and don't beat the fuck out of me.
Yep.
He runs away. Like, just cowardly.
Like
while on the Skype call. And you're like, what do you... And you know what? I think Ben at one point is like, are you trying to learn how to use it in battle raps or something? Like, I don't know if he says it now or later on, but it really does sound like Adam is just trying to learn the appropriate ways he could one day use the word. And if you look at it from like an outsider perspective, it's fucking weird. Like, if we think back to just that white girl who dropped it in Mad City, I had so many conversations about that after, and people are like, blah, 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 it's in the song. It's really not hard. What is it? Man's down. Where you from? Fuck who you know, where you from, ma? Is that fucking hard, people? Come on. Anyway, cut to the vegan place.
Yep. They're in like this, so Adam and his girlfriend are in like the next scene, and they are at this like super hippy dippy restaurant, sitting on the floor. She's obviously loving it.
It's terrible.
And there is like, I mean, I've been to places like that before. They're hit or miss. I mean, not necessarily for me. So then like this like hippie dreaded girl comes over, and and like, you know, she's like, do you want to get like a juice? And then like, so she orders this juice, but she changes like all of the ingredients. So like, change this to this and change this to this. And it's just like, she's like, oh yeah, cool, really dope, wow, cool. And it's just like,
The worst part is she really is the freaking dreads and
yep,
everything.
like she's like 100% into like everything that she
She
just
looks
said.
like the kind of person who's so like that she doesn't smoke weed. No, that girl did not smoke pot, in my
She
opinion.
probably has hemp in her hair.
Yes, but does not consume the marijuana in the fun way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is the point where, I mean, he's just trying to like, you know, he uses this restaurant as like she realizes that like this is like kind of like a setup. She's like, what do you want? Like this is like too nice. Like this
You're
isn't my
cheating on
birthday
me.
or whatever. Yeah, it's like this. Like there's like, you know, what I feel like a normal person would be like, oh my god, did you cheat on me? Like she's pissed off like that, and then he's like, no, he confesses to having done the rap battle, and that's so much worse than if he had just cheated on her practically. Like she's just so pissed.
She's like, I can understand you cheating on me. You're a privileged white guy, but battle rapping? But you know what it was? You know why she was mad? You did the one thing
Behind
we
her back.
explicitly agreed you wouldn't do. Now here's the thing. You might look at her and be like, woman, you basically told him you must not do this and did not give him a choice. But what did Adam do? He agreed, okay? He didn't have the boss. She simultaneously told him to stand up against his dad, and then took her beat down. Now, whose fault is that? She's just waiting for a real man that's going to stand up for her and put her in her place. And she's trying to coach him into being that man. Yeah, that's how I really believe that's the case. Because if you listen to her words and not her tone, as we'll see later on, when you watch the movie the second time, it actually really, she's right. Nothing she says is actually that dumb. There is some ignorance.
No. I don't think she's dumb.
What I mean is from like a malicious point of view. She's right. Nothing, like even when she's questioning this, when he goes and drops the colonial argument on her, and what I loved about that was the importance of semantics, because when you're dealing with these fucking people, it is so important to be semantically correct that it's stupid how much they are, because nobody else that they're talking about is, and it's fucking weird. So he drops the colonialism on them.
He like, it's just cute, like the way that like he's like this, no, is this word, no, and he's like colonialist.
Yeah. And then so I love his adherence to that, and basically
He plays her own game.
he tricks her.
Yep.
But what he's essentially doing is he's tricking her into going to some kind of an event, like it's this romantic couple-y thing, instead of just being like, babe, you're not gonna like this, but I really want to do this, you know. So there's ways to approach it. Like sometimes you have conversations with your significant other when you're like, this is really important to me, and even if you don't like it, well, I'm gonna do it anyway. And she might not like it, and she has every choice to be like, fuck you, I'm out. And then sometimes she's still sitting there doing podcasts with you 2.5 years later. Just
Somehow.
I'm talking about the podcast part. It's been even longer for the other parts. That's right. Anyway, so then she's like, okay, do me and explain your battle rights. And
If you love me, Adam, if you love me, you'll insult me with a rhyme, is her exact line. I thought that was very cute.
And then he composes something like, you're so fucking perfect.
Yeah, so the first one, she really likes it, and you know, and then like she thinks that she wants more. She's like, wow, that was so well done, and blah 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 blah. And then the second one, he's like he's kind of changed,
but it's
and
like
he goes really hard and insults her and really upsets her, and she just walks out.
But it's honestly like, as a person, like, how could you? I mean, I get how, because it's clear, but like, she basically got this nice little and then he just fucking like set her up nicely. There was no ramp up. There was no nothing. It was just smack you in the face.
Yeah. And then like the dreaded girl comes over and like makes him leave.
But he decides, oh, it's okay. She asked me to insult her. I was just practicing battle raps. Like, see if I were to do you. And then he goes in on her, and you're like,
yep.
Dude, shut
Read the circumstance.
And it was personal. That was the problem with both of it. It's like he went in and he made it personal. And this is more relevant to clearly some stuff later on. But upon the second reflection, I think that's the difference between, like, just the way he approaches it. Like, I could diss Bonnie right now and keep it far away from who she is. You're so awesome that it's hard to be around you. See what I'm talking about right there? Anyway, we move on to the shitty Roach Motel.
Oof, yeah. So the next scene, like they're in L.A. and at this nasty hotel. It's gross. Like there's like somebody peeing. There's like roaches. There's like somebody like shooting up. Like it's obviously like exaggerated, but there's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. So Adam's girlfriend meets the whole squad, and then
More importantly, Divine.
and he approaches her to like, oh, it's so incredible that you're changing gender norms in
That
the
you're doing this as a woman and in like a
my
male
vagina don't spit rhymes, and I'm like,
what is
ooh.
woman? Like, and it's true. Like that's how you shut down like one of these like, extreme feminist type people. It's like you're my vagina has nothing to do with this. Like it's just like her being
But
powerful.
again, Maya really appreciated the argument enough to consider it.
Yes, of course. But like she was shut down because she was like, no.
And then Adam kind of leaves her to go with everybody to see what's up. Okay, fine. And we find out that Che met Tinder Girl, so he doesn't show up on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically they go to this grungy venue, and one of the most
It's
significant
really gross,
things
yeah.
that we're gonna hear is Ben Grimm's breakdown of bullshit promoters and how it's all about the money. It's not really about putting a show. They put them up against lame-ass nobodies, and that's kind of the point of what the show is to show off what a bullshit promotion squad is. That's why Andy Milakinis is the fucking promoter. Bullshit sleazy guy.
Freddie Hustle
Andy Milakinis.
is his name in this. And he's just like ridiculous. He's just like, it's
He
very
is
funny.
42 years old, okay? That is what you need to know about Andy Milakinis. He is an old guy.
Well, he's middle-aged. But he definitely looks like a 12-year-old.
So the problem with promoters is often promoters don't give a fuck about a show. And that is a huge problem in Montreal because there's no...
Well, it's clearly a problem everywhere. That's what they're referencing, and everybody's going to get it.
But this is, again, one of those ones I can relate to personally because there's a reason you don't see a whole lot of live footage from me, and it's not because I'm not a talented MC, and it's also not because of opportunity. If I wanted to go and spend money... I could go right ahead and perform all sorts of places, but I'm not going to lie to you. It feels like paying for sex. If you're paying to perform, okay, if you're young and you're trying to get a couple shows in for some real experience, we all do it at this point. I mean, I'm a little bit not proud that I paid a couple of times to perform, but I honestly thought I would resell those 10 tickets that they offered me for $50 until I learned that you can't sell those 10 tickets. And even if you sell those tickets, those people don't come to the show. So you sell all these tickets, and then people come up to the show to see you, pay at the door, but you don't really get that money either. And then, look, at the end of the day, I don't want to talk anything about any specific promoters because there are promoters in Montreal that are actually good people. Mm-hmm. However, a lot of promoters in Montreal are basically pimps and rappers as their hoes. That's the truth of the situation. And I believe that's kind of the way that they're looking at it, except unlike Montreal, I'm like, bad rappers get paid. Now, I understand that in Montreal, it's like people put up cash and it's like gambling. Whoever wins gets the bag.
Right.
You put it up and that's what it is. So I don't have enough money for that. So yeah, I like that Andy Milakinis is in the group Three Locos with Dirt Nasties there and being Freddie Hustle, and it just kind of
like, and he's like, he really is like the host of hosts. Like he looks like
the sleazy ass motherfucker.
It's something with the glasses and the shirt.
What's good, y'all? It's your host, Freddie Hustle, and we about to get it cracking for the inaugural event of Freddie Hustle. And that's the point, is everybody that promotes is like fucking
all
doing
hustling.
it. No, but it's more than the hustle part. It's that there are a bunch of nobodies who don't know how to fucking promote. There are a bunch of people in their first year of, like, look, I can't go into specifics. I just can't because I have to be with these people and I have to work with them and I'm not talking shit and pissing people off. But there are too many things I've seen that I could talk to some promoters. If you are a promoter in Montreal and you want some genuine advice on how to get people with money to show up to your show, we can have a real conversation. Not even for me to perform, because chances are I'm going to want to see you pull it off before I'm not interested. Battle start ready. Then there's some comedian guy who's actually played by Conceited the Rapper, and who's the first battle? Shit.
There's a few of them. Is the first battle that takes place is Megatron. No,
It's
Megatron versus MC Goggles, but that's like a different.
Oh, no, that's
going
something
on
else.
further. Yeah.
And then there's, I don't know, some guy, this little comedian dude who's battling, whatever. And then there's this groom who's battling. Oh,
They
no.
all kind of seem like they're not that great.
And then there's the guy who's battling Adam, I believe, is like, oh, I can't even do it. So I think the first one's battling Che or whatever, Prospect, or one of those two, first guy or whatever. And then there's the choke artist. I make him double up in the middle like a tummy tuck, shoddy blows, cuts out. That's a stomach pump. Stomach pump. Wait, I got it. Stomach. It's fucking funny.
But it's cute because it's obviously like what he does.
And then the white racist guy comes in, and he's like, bad. I'll probably lift him off his feet if I aim my Glock, and that's the first time a black guy will get raised by pops. And you're like, ooh, that's not good. But the point is that white racist guy is the most sounding like Adam of everybody that's actually there. And you're supposed to make that connection. Think about the shit Adam was saying when he raps, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Is it really that different than this white racist guy? The only difference is that this white racist guy, he's kind of okay with it. Yo, what's up? It's battle rap. I mean, we'll get to that a bit later on. But Adam, I don't see a difference, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Then the groom, who's played by Roan, I'm pretty sure that's the guy who I was talking about that battled the Big T guy. Anyway, and then he's like, I just want you to be my bouquet. I even got you this bouquet. You like guns? We can go shopping together. I'll buy my bouquets. And I was just like, this is lame. He's proposing her. But even when Divine first sees him in the suit, it's like she just realized this guy's here to battle me. He's not even going to take me seriously. It's just going to be this bullshit, you know? And you see her and Prospect start to have a little bond that they have going on. I don't know.
But they're sick of the stereotypes.
And then everybody keeps going on through, and racist guys being racist, and the comedian guys trying to be whatever. And then they flip it to the other one, and Che just like smacks him and kind of makes a nice line about all the comedians who killed themselves. Divine Right still looks like, fuck weddings at our funeral. It's fucking alright. Adam's like, whatever, his line's boring. Ben Grimm's like, you were racist. His line's my favorite of this whole battle. So you want to talk that racist shit? I know you're a girl and I'm pimping that thought. It's a reverse slavery action. I'll put your bitch on the block. And I'm like, that's fucking fire. That's a foot back
There's
down.
like really good lines. Like, and the Alex Larson is the writer. So I just wondered if he like wrote like all of the lines, or if they were written by like or with Eminem, or if like anybody else helped out.
I mean, like, well, all of the rappers that you see in, I don't know about the main, I don't know about Adam, but like everybody else is an actual battle rapper.
Yeah. Like
And
I don't know. I just think it's cool.
I'm pretty sure I don't know who MC Goggles is. Either way, allow me to be abundantly fucking clear. If somebody ever threw my glasses down like that, I don't know if I'd run away. I would be very angry, and I can assure you of one thing.
What he's talking about.
I would absolutely want my money. You'd owe me the money for my glasses, and we would figure that shit out, because we would figure that shit out, because you ain't fucking up some shit that costs like whatever just because he comes to battle rap. I get it. It's for the movies to point it in.
And like he's talking about like Megatron versus MC.
Megaton, not Megatron.
Oh, I thought it was Megatron. Anyways.
Megatron, I think, is a transformer. Fuck, I'm not even.
So why couldn't he be that?
Megaton,
Anyways, he just goes too hard on him and just like stomps his glasses and basically makes him run away. And like they all kind of agree that that's not right. Like that's not what you need to be doing. You don't want to be like hurting people.
It's just more like when he's like, bitch, hip-hop was meant for minorities. It's never been for you geeky asses. Matter of fact, what are these you little fucking reading glasses you need for your English class, man? Give me that shit, man. I'll stomp these into pieces and fragments, and you can keep them, and he can have this, and you can complete your dream of being this genius math whiz, because everything you see is in fractions. Now get the fuck out of you, little fucking dweeby. I don't know. It was pretty... I like his... I have to give Disaster...
He definitely goes hard.
Disaster's delivery, I'll enjoy. Even the beginning part, like, you little squirmy Reddit blogger, another Eminem imposter refers to Elton John as his second father, Bob Saget, Moranis, Kelly Osbourne, white trash, genetic monster, probably conceived in the back of a Led Zeppelin car. And it's just like, woof! He's got this intensity and this domineering personality and all of that goodness, but like, all I'm saying is, you fucked up the kid's glasses. That hit me personal. Like, you don't do that, because glasses are not cheap.
Well, also, I mean, it's like you wouldn't, like, if somebody was like, you know, deaf or something, you wouldn't just like rip out their, you know, their hearing aids or something, and like you just don't do that.
Yeah,
It's the same sort of thing.
And then basically I think we're gonna end it up real soon because it's getting late on our end and our neighbors might hit us. But
If they don't already.
the last thing I'd like to touch on before we like call it quits and finish up later. We're halfway through my notes. Is the M debate. So we have to first of all
Yeah.
acknowledge who the executive producer of this movie is.
Yes.
And of all of the things I find corny that Eminem has done in the last year, like rapping incessantly about his career, which is not cool, this conversation almost makes me completely respect it all. Like, you know what? The conversation he allowed to have about Eminem's place in hip hop here was really cool.
Yep.
So,
And very honest, I think.
especially because Adam walks over to the guys as they're kind of maybe discussing their favorites. And I was like, Eminem's the greatest battle rapper ever. And then, fucking forget. Obviously, white guys gonna think that. And here's the thing. I was once the white guy who thought that. And the more we've studied hip hop, I'm not gonna lie. Essay Alone's A Book of Human Language is an example of an album that made me reconsider how good Eminem actually was. Because maybe the bars aren't as witty in the battle rappy perspective, but the concept of the album blew my mind. And there's just a lot of examples of that we've come across where it makes you go, is M the great? I don't listen to Eminem's music anymore. Honestly, outside of reviewing albums, if a song comes on random, okay, I'll play it. But I find I have less and less songs on my playlist, and that maybe, without pissing off all the stans out there, I don't really see anybody listening to Eminem's music in the above 22 age group. That's my anecdotes. I don't know about anywhere else.
I listen to still a few, maybe more than a handful of his songs regularly, but I still
How
listen.
regular? I hear your stuff. It's not like you really bumped at Eminem all that often.
It's not on my playlist. I've got Eminem on stuff. I listen to it.
Barely?
I skip some of them. There are some that I'm
But that's
I'm
the
sick
point.
of listening to.
Is
But
this-
there are some that are just always going to be great.
I agree, but do you want to listen to them regularly?
Yeah, I do.
Which ones?
Hold on, I can't think.
Do you see my point?
Superman and
When was the last time you listened to Super?
probably yesterday.
Okay.
Honestly, I was able to name it.
Here's the thing. I still know half his catalog by heart. By the way, Coney Sparks and I had a little conversation. He's all like, I was surprised that white kid could spit so hard. I'm like, dude, we all studied Eminem. Are you kidding me? We all know all of Eminem. All of these songs. There's so many songs that I could still rap word for word because that's what we do. We studied Shady. But that's why we think Shady's the shit. That's why so many of us just believed he was the greatest. Because let's be real, if you do not study hip hop culture, I don't know, review 100 fucking classic rap albums and let me know if you still think Eminem is the great. And if Eminem is maybe 8 of those classic albums, it's pretty incredible how maybe you end up not thinking Eminem is quite the GOAT that you thought he was. Not to say he's not the GOAT or whatever.
He definitely has some amazing songs, but
it's more that I've been exposed to so much other kinds of amazing that it's hard to look at Eminem as the only amazing thing or as amazing because there are ways that people
he's amazing for what he is.
Exactly.
And, for the time and when he came out.
And I think this is kind of the point that Adam is missing is what we're talking about here is the whole other part of that conversation. Now hear me out because you almost have to say this on the internet. Eminem is an insanely crafty, talented lyricist without fail.
Yeah.
Eminem is one of the greatest to ever touch anything in terms of who he is. Don't even get me wrong. However, the part where I'm forced to put a caveat because stans are out there and are going to just come at me because I might not say M is my favorite rapper anymore is fucking ridiculous. The dedicated...
You're allowed to change your opinion.
But the dedicated negative ignorance in the stans pisses me off because it's sad to me. And honestly, the way Adam approached it is kind of like a stan, but when the racist walked over and it's like, yo, M's one of the best, way better than any of these black guys. And you can see how Adam was all like, yeah, CEO, I don't want to be affiliated with him. But the truth...
But the racist guy, he calls out the racist rappers, and he points out to people that he makes fun of everybody, so he has to be inclusive, and that's why he's racist towards black people.
That is some
and
racist
he's fighting for
bull-
equality. But then all of like the black guys are like, oh yeah, like it makes sense.
No, I think actually what I wrote is, then the black guy praises him and whatnot with the intent of, I think he's like, oh, this is what's going to piss him off. If all of a sudden I start praising him, the last thing he wants is to impress a black guy supporting him. You know, that's how I took that part. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just thought it was funny. Like, it was just like a ridiculous, like, okay,
but the
sure,
black guy kind of praises him. That was pretty smart. But basically, look, I don't care who you are. If your attitude is, I hate everyone like an equal opportunity hater, you're a fucking dick, and I don't really want you in my life. Like, it's to me that simple. Like, I don't need that fucking ignorance around me no more. It's 2019. If you really think that it's appropriate to piss people off for the sake of the lulz, then you're a fucking ignorant dumbass, no matter how smart you are. And I don't, even if you unsubscribe from my channel for me saying that, I've reached a point where that's the kind of guy I am. That's the truth of the situation. If you like that, well, that's cool. You're not going to like my content. That's how I see it. And then Maya shows up and wants to go back to the hotel. Now, allow me to be clear. Another thing I have done way too many times, and why I don't do it with my current lovely lady, is ditch the girl at the show to go be a rapper. And don't even talk to her for hours.
Yeah, I just won't go.
I have told her when it's a bad idea for her to come. Like, if I can't, because on the other hand, women need to not necessarily expect that if I'm there to rap, that I even have 2 seconds to actually care about how she's doing for the most part. And I don't say that disrespectfully, but like, I gotta worry about being by the side of the stage, and like, I can't be like the source of your entertainment for the whole night. And I guess my ego took that to the whole max in the negative direction when I was younger. I used to get in so much shit for ditching her. So much shit. But basically, Adam did the same thing. There's ways to do it where you're like, I'll hang out with you for now. I gotta go. I'll come back.
Well, I mean, you're there to see you perform. Obviously, at some point, like, you guys are going to be joined at the hip.
But it was the part of the other parts. I basically ditched her the whole event. Because I was there to scope around and be cool, you know?
Right.
Kind of like Adam. And it was more important for me to get a bunch of black guys praising my rap skills than it was for me to pay attention to my woman. Which is foreshadowing to a theme we're going to discuss in part 2 of the video. Mm-hmm. However, Adam... Did we talk about the part where Adam basically fucking punches his girl in the face, trying to be like cooler or not? He's just trying to like, and like smacks her in the face.
Does he?
Yeah, he does. And he basically like punches her in the face, and something.
Is that how the drinks get spilled on like his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's basically trying to do it to be cool. In front of his, he's basically in
then
front.
She just gets pissed off.
But basically, if you look at this situation, in front of a bunch of people who are not middle class white folk, he's trying to disrespect his woman to be cool, which is literally like he's trying to play out hip hop tropes in how he treats the people he's supposed to care about to be cool. I really think dude who wrote this went that deep. Okay, this is the one time anybody watching this. I think the writer went as deep as I think on this shit. And I thought that was, again, significant enough to write down, because it was like, oh, shit, eh? He didn't even apologize. He didn't do anything. Like, when you look at how Ben Grimm treats his girl, now that's a man. That's what I'm trying to say there. Spoiler alert. She clearly wants to go back to the hotel and kind of try to salvage anything out of this experience for herself, or at the very least have her boyfriend come back and be like, I love you in this creepy place.
But he just wants to like hang out with like his crew and like with like these guys, and then she kicks him out of the room because that's his choice.
It gets a little deeper than that, but yeah, that's the kind of the short version of it. Anyway, we still have about, I guess, half the movie to go through and at least half of my notes. My note file is 14 words, so that's where I came into this with. Like I said, a lot to talk about. I hope you're enjoying this. If you like this kind of content, I have no idea how frequently we can do this, because I find it takes me longer to prepare for these movie things than the album things, where I can multitask a lot easier. So it's not gonna happen as frequently, but if it's something y'all care about, y'all can be like Coney Sparks and sign up at Patreon and force our hands. And that's just the thing you actually can do, because Coney Sparks did that, and look at us talking about it. He tried for like 6 months to make me watch it, and then he got me to do it.
Yep.
I'm not lying. That really happened. He can choose to let us know in the comments what he thinks. Either way, I really like what I've seen in this movie so far. I think as far as talking points go, it's super fascinating the amount of things there are to discuss in this little 2-hour experience. And I think the self-awareness of Eminem in that scene, acknowledging the overt racism and ignorance of his fan base, because he basically said, my fans are stans and racists. And that is kind of what he points out there. And I thought that was very self-aware and very incredible of him. Anyways, thank y'all for watching part 1 of this. Part 2 will come soon. Hopefully it'll be tomorrow, but it actually, if it doesn't, I'm sorry. There's a few things going on at once. It's been messy, but I promise to get it unmessy and nice and clean soon. But here's something to whet your appetite. Let us know in the comments what you think about anything that we say, and if I pissed you off because I offended you or whatever, I hope you can understand that wasn't the intention. I'm really not trying to be an Adam over here. But I really do appreciate your thoughts, because if we did say something stupid and you can correct us and teach us something, then I can avoid saying that kind of stupidities in the future, especially when we touch on this kind of subject matter. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for part 2 and more videos. We'll have more videos coming soon. And special thanks to the patrons: Cody Sparks, Man of the Hour, Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, Linda Williams, and
TJ Blackhurst?
Yeah, him. I'm so sorry, Blackhurst.
I was like, there's somebody you didn't say.
I know I didn't. I knew the rhythm was off. Appreciate y'all. They support what we do. Helped us get a new camera. They're soon going to help us get a website, and then help us get nice sound panels so it looks nicer, and then help us get other things. They're wonderful. We like them. But if you dig what we do and the level of effort we put in and the depth, and you want to see us get to that next level and become even cooler, that's a great way to help us. And like I said, if you do that, you can totally make us review whatever you want. It can't be porn. Although maybe if you pay enough, we can talk about it. I don't know. It popped into my head.
Okay, all
Not
right.
everything I
so
said.
bye, guys. Have a great week.
Also, I make music. You can check that out in the description below. And if you want to see Bonnie review porn, sign up on our Patreon. Bye.
Bye.